It's crazy to think, right? Like how something as normal as going for a jog can turn into, well, a tragedy.
Yeah, definitely. It's a scary thought.
And that's what we're diving into today. The Laken Riley case. She was a nursing student at University of Georgia. And just today, November 20th, 2024, they actually delivered the verdict. So we're going to break down all the major points, really try to understand what happened.
It's a sad case for sure. Young woman just trying to live her life.
Exactly. And that's important to remember. This is a real person we're talking about. So let's start with, I guess, the basics. Laken Riley, she was 22.
Okay.
And she was murdered this year, February 22nd, while jogging on the University of Georgia campus.
On campus. Just unimaginable.
Right. Here's a detail that always gets me. Her smartwatch, it recorded her stopping her run at 9:10 a.m. And then just a minute later, she tried to call 911.
Wow. That's chilling. It's like you can almost picture what was happening.
Exactly. So now let's talk about the man convicted of her murder, Jose Antonio Ibarra. He's 26. And the jury, they found him guilty on all charges.
All of them. Wow.
Yeah, pretty damning, right? Including some very specific ones. Malice murder, felony murder, even kidnapping with bodily injury.
Okay, so let's break that down for a second,
Yeah.
for our listeners. Malice murder, that means it wasn't an accident, right? Like, he planned it.
Exactly. The prosecution, they had to prove that Ibarra intended to kill Laken. It wasn't just like a spur-of-the-moment thing.
Right, premeditation. And then felony murder, that implies the murder happened while he was committing another crime.
Yeah, the kidnapping in this case. They all fit together, right? Like pieces of a puzzle. So the prosecution's argument was that Ibarra, he killed Laken because she resisted his attempt to, assault her.
Oh, man, that's awful.
Yeah, it is. And the evidence, it's pretty overwhelming. They started with DNA found under Laken's fingernails, meaning she fought back.
That's powerful evidence. Hard to argue with DNA.
Right. And then they found Ibarra's thumbprint on her phone. And get this, the phone location data actually placed them together at the time of the attack.
So they're able to put them in the same place at the same time. That's tough to refute.
Exactly. And it gets even crazier. They got footage from a Ring camera, and it shows Ibarra discarding stuff, a bloody jacket and gloves.
Whoa, hold on. So we've got DNA, phone records, and now video evidence.
Exactly. All connecting him to the crime.
That's pretty ironclad. Hard to see how the defense could get around that.
Yeah, the evidence was really stacked against him. Now, I do want to address one more thing, because this case, it got a lot of media attention.
Right.
Ibarra, he was undocumented and from Venezuela. And obviously that brought up a lot of, additional complexities.
Yeah, definitely. This case kind of became a focal point for a lot of the, bigger discussions we're having as a society about immigration.
Exactly. And while we can't ignore those conversations, we also have to remember, first and foremost, this is about Laken.
Right, absolutely. The focus should be on her and getting justice for her.
Exactly. So in the end, Jose Antonio Ibarra was sentenced to life in prison. No possibility of parole. Judge H. Patrick Haggard delivered that sentence.
Wow, life without parole, that's a heavy sentence.
It is. And, it provides some legal closure, but the impact of what happened, that doesn't just go away,
Definitely not. Her family, her friends, they're the ones who have to live with this.
Absolutely. And it also makes you think, right, about how technology plays a role in all of this. I mean, tragically, Laken's smartwatch didn't save her.
Right.
But the data it collected, that was crucial to the investigation.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, could this case actually lead to more people using smartwatches for safety reasons?
Maybe, yeah. It definitely highlights how they can provide evidence. And who knows, maybe even deter some criminals. But there's that other side too, right?
What do you mean?
Well, all this data being collected, it raises questions about privacy, Where's that line between using tech for safety and having our every move tracked?
That's a good point. It's a tough balance. But regardless, this case, it's a stark reminder. Even places that seem safe, like a college campus, they can be vulnerable.
Yeah. It makes you stop and think, how safe are we, really? And what can we do to protect ourselves? It's a question we all need to be asking.
Absolutely. It's a complex issue, and there's no easy answers.
Yeah.
But it's a conversation we need to keep having.
For sure.
Well, on that note, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the Laken Riley case.
Thanks for having me. It's been a, thought-provoking discussion.
You got it. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there.
And be aware of your surroundings.